I've come back to Thyme. You might have seen the videos. We did 3 videos of the gardens that we made here. But today we're back to retitivate the veg gardens. Daryll, having been chef here, you've now changed to running the vegetable garden, and that must be the 2 most important ingredients to make a great dish. Great gardener, great chef.
Exactly.
And you really have changed these vegetable gardens. They are pretty extensive. They go miles up that way and down here. You've got some polytunnels, but I think veg looks fantastic in the summer. You have lovely rows of all different things, and texturally it's a dream to look at. But at this time of year, when you've got lots of hotel guests coming down to look at the veg, so trying to walk off those massive lunches you've prepared for them, and also at home when you've got the veg garden right by the kitchen door, it's nice to give them some structure, don't you think?
Definitely,
in the winter.
yes, definitely.
So
definitely.
the vegetable garden is as beautiful in the
Winter as the summer.
And you do what I do. I think you should keep a lot of veg in the ground all winter. And I think people don't realise just what you can keep in the ground over winter. I mean, even carrots, if you mulch them up with straw
Exactly.
or mulch, they will stay protected from the frost, won't they,
Yep.
over the winter, so you can dig them up when you like.
Yep.
What else has you got here now?
Parsnips, which is the good staid favourite. Lots of frost on them, so they'll quite happily sit in the ground.
And in fact, they're better when they've been
Yes, with a
frosted,
bit of sweetness.
because the leaves take the sugars down
Yes.
to the roots, they always say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sprouts.
We've got some sprouts. We've got some Jerusalem artichokes again, so they'll sit really nicely, quite happily in the ground.
Yeah.
Leaves are a nice thing to look at. So we've got some radicchios, which will take on some frost, so they'll be okay for a while.
Chards, I bet you've got
Chard, yeah, we've got
chards
heaps
there.
of chard, which is a real kind of staple for us, and that takes us through. That will go down to I think about -10. So again, another one of those vegetables that likes the frost and affects the sugars.
And sprouts. Loads
And
of Brussels
sprouts, yeah, everybody likes the sprouts, and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the kales, and then we've got winter leaves, which will. So we've got lamb's lettuce and winter purslane. So that's happy in the garden for a fair amount of time. I'm going
Parsley.
and a bit of parsley, exactly.
Chervil.
We've got some chervil, which is in the polytunnel.
Yeah, I've grown mine outside.
Have
and
you?
I find that
Okay, okay.
It does depend where you live. But so really, the lesson is keep your beds as full as you can, and make sure you do lots of late sowings in the summer, that your beds are full, so the rain doesn't leach through the soil, and you've got lots of lovely winter veg.
And what I like to do, I've started to do now, I'm not so much of a tidy gardener, so when I do any harvesting, I cut things down to the roots and leave all the roots in the ground, because that's going to feed the soil, all of the bacteria and the worms, and everyone's happy. So like you said, the more you can leave in the soil, the better it's going to be over winter. And then looking at mulching things and kind of as a suppressant also, and actually we're going into that kind of no diggy bed style again just trying to just build that soil fertility and not kind of dig all the weeds out. So once we're on top of the perennial weeds, just laying on top again, which is kind of, so it's looking after the soil, and like you said, the more we leave in the soil, the better it will be.
And no need for artificial fertiliser.
No.
It's all there.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you add the mulch,
Exactly.
that's fine. Now here, because Daryll and I had a brainstorming session, because we wanted to make the garden look better in the winter for visitors to walk through. So what we've done a few things, haven't we, Daryll? So we've got these lovely big pots,
Yep.
which are made of fiberglass.
Yes.
And cut the bottoms out.
Yep.
Did you do that with an angle grinder?
I've got one of our lovely maintenance team to do that, and he used a jigsaw actually.
A jigsaw?
He did, because they're thinner as opposed to when you do your terracotta pots, and you need an angle grinder. So that was quite a relatively easy job for Dave.
Yeah. And then we've got these multi-stem Christmas trees, Serbian gold, so hopefully they won't get the blight.
Exactly.
And we just put a few fun decorations on them.
for a bit of festivity.
Yeah. Whereas, and they would have dropped off the fruit if they had been quince.
Yes.
They'd have gone by
Yeah.
now.
Or we'd have used them anyway.
They'd be high in fines. But you will be making fabulous things from these.
Oh, I know, it's going to be amazing, and they're going to look beautiful in the spring with the blossom, because quince blossoms pretty beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the shape of the tree.
Oh my God! But it's amazing what this has just done to the garden, and amazing kind of winter structure already. So.
Yeah, so I think 3D having vertical elements of veg is great.
Oh, amazing.
And the obelisk.
Yes.
Lovely. Again, you'll be putting runner beans up these.
Yes, exactly. We will kind of grow and train as much as we can. I thought even maybe some like training nasturtiums maybe in the pots for the summer, just for the bit of added biodiversity in the garden.
And your lisa leaves.
Yes, and the flowers, exactly.
Yeah.
But they will get attacked at some point. The caterpillars like them, don't they? They will get kind of, but that's okay because it's all about harmony now, and we just try and not try and fight everything.
But you might pinch the odd one off.
Oh yeah. Oh, more than one.
And then we put these big arches in.
Yes.
Which old Jamie Bullitt, or young Jamie.
Oh,
Bullitt,
yes.
A third of my age, made these.
Yes.
For us. And he's done the arches. He's cut them out with a laser. And I was interested because Karen, the owner, said let's buy them ready-made.
Yes.
And we checked the prices, and Jamie making these to the shape and style we wanted was far cheaper than anything you could get that wasn't half as nice ready-made. So I think it's always worth searching suppliers.
Totally.
And we've got these little willow stars we've hung on, which are quite fun. And then we've got willow rods that we've just woven around the edge, just to make them look a bit more organic, because you're going to put some pears.
Oh, yeah, if we can, that's going to be amazing. We'll kind of work through, like we're saying, maybe every second one, if we can do some spur prune pears maybe, and then we can use some, the pears would be quite nice maybe for a juice at the hotel. So we're always trying to work out, what's working in the garden, how it can be utilised in the hotel, how it can showcase the garden, so the more productive but also beautiful we can be, because we're working but we also want to kind of have that nice kind of aesthetic edge for the guests, like you said. So the arches are really going to lift the garden. Yeah, it's very exciting.
They'll go rusty obviously.
Yes.
In a few weeks.
Yeah.
Really. So do you want to show me what we've got in the polytunnel?
Yeah, of course.
Let's go and see the polytunnel. And also you're going to put rosemary hedge all the way along.
Which will look really nice, because the cutting garden's got the lavender, so that's on the floral aspect, and then more of the herbaceous. We use so many herbs in the hotel. The guys love rosemary, so I'd just like to pick a little bit instead of cropping one spot. So yeah, it's going to look beautiful, a lovely rosemary avenue.
Right, let's go on. So you've got two types of radicchio here.
I have, yes. The radicchio, which I think the Italians call red ball. So there are different varieties within that kind of red ball of radicchio. Sowed these end of June. They've had a little bit of frost on them, but they're okay. The outside leaves might take a bit of frost, but the heart is still really good.
And they go right through, I find.
January. Yeah, exactly. And they're really nice to have some gorgeous bits of leaves from the garden that time of year.
And there you've got which ones?
And then this is Treviso, the radicchio Treviso, which is the taller and has the really lovely kind of spirally twisted inner leaves, which I've discovered a new way to try and blanch them. So it's growing them to get them kind of quite fat, and then we lift them, and then I've got some in the polytunnel which are cut and washed, and I've got them in the dark with some water, and we keep them for about 2 weeks. And that kind of propels them to put on a bit of extra growth in the middle and have more of those lovely little twisted red leaves. So that's an experiment.
We can see them.
Yeah, we can,
so
exactly.
You lifted those at that size?
Yes,
exactly. Did you lift
I lifted them about 10 days ago.
So that would have been sort of mid-November?
Yes, yeah.
You lift them and then you put them in this contraption we're going to see.
Exactly. Next year I'm going to plant them a little bit further apart. I think they're a little bit too close and they've not got as much kind of meatiness to them as I'd like. Because then they have, if they, the taproot on them, which becomes quite thick, the chefs in Italy, they use the root which they chop up and they use that in a base for a risotto. So if you're going to do a risotto with Treviso radicchio, apparently there's a huge amount of flavour in that root. So when you do like a sofrito at the beginning of a risotto, that's a nice kind of base to add.
I see.
I've not done it yet, but I've heard about it.
So you're very Italian inspired.
I think Italians cook beautifully. It's all about that key ingredient, and for me as a cook and a chef, I've always liked to take a star ingredient and make it the show. And actually, but that's down to having something which is really beautiful, it's in season, it's prime, it's fresh, and then that way you're showcasing. And so what I'm doing here in the garden, I'm trying to grow things for Charlie to showcase in the ox barn, Charlie the head chef, Karen's son, that are just bang on, spanking fresh. And that's what's exciting for me as much as a gardener, as a cook, because I can see the potential and the taste on the plate, which is really quite special.
Wow, I'm going to be dining here more often. Let's go look in your polytunnel. Daryll, I like your polytunnel. You've got a lot of leaves to pick out.
Yes.
Your favourites for this time? All of these could go outside, could they?
Yes. Yes. Pretty much, depending on if we got a kind of a harsher frost. But The landcress.
Landcress is
yes.
so easy.
Oh, perfect. And then it's one of these things that you don't need to sow until later. It likes the cold.
So when did you sow this?
I sowed this probably August time. I've done a couple of sowings, maybe August, then some September. I've got a little bit more here. I did a bit later.
And it won't bolt now?
No. Yes, I've sown it later, but now we're losing the daylight. It will slow down, and then it will perk up again in the spring, which will give us.
And then it will bolt.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's a lot of these mustardy style leaves.
Mizuna.
Exactly. You sow into the cold because there's no point trying to grow them in the summer because they're bolt. Yeah. We have the flea beetle, so that becomes a problem. So that
not
is.
Not in here though.
Oh, we do.
Really?
Well,
really.
I don't know. Not for me for this year because obviously I'm new in the garden from this summer. Previously, in the other polytunnels, we had a problem with the flea beetle, so I'm not sure. But again, it's those mustardy leaves that work for this time of year. It's growing things actually in the right time, I suppose.
But they could be outside.
Yes.
But I do think flea beetles suddenly gone manic because they've stopped doing oilseed rape so much around us.
Okay.
And so all the flea beetle, I mean, the guy in the field next door, he said when you ploughed the field after rape, all the flea beetles, you could see a cloud of them.
Oh, really?
And then we didn't have a very cold winter, and I think they're hanging on there.
Right, okay.
Because the rape stopped, and they would normally just be acres of rape for them
of course.
to enjoy, and now
no.
they're enjoying your instead.
But we've been okay so far, but I'll see
the
how...
humidity helps, doesn't it?
Yes.
Sometimes I've known they put fleece over them to increase the humidity.
Yes.
And just that little bit of extra humidity helps slow down the flea beetle.
Right, okay.
Apparently. But no, it looks really nice. And I brought you this.
Okay.
I thought you might like to trial this. This is an eco mulch.
Right.
And it is paper.
Okay.
And basically, you lay it on the ground and it will rot down naturally. But if you've got a weed bud, and it's just because the other guy did let the weeds get a bit
out of hand.
I just thought this was an option to try, and I thought you could try this roll of eco mulch, pin it down on the soil, maybe weight it with bricks or whatever it's corners. You can cover it with a weed-free compost if you like.
Okay.
If it's windy, and then with your dibber, if you were doing something like garlic, you just dib a hole with your dibber. Put your garlic clove in at your spacing.
Okay.
And that will just keep the soil a bit warmer, it will keep the moisture in, and it will keep the weeds down.
Great.
So I just thought it'd be really nice. They do different grades,
okay.
Different colours, and I thought it'd be a nice thing.
Well, yeah, I could do a whole bed of that in between with our kind of no dig, the newer kind of areas I'm going to do for some no dig beds, and then I'll just with the corners a bit of wood chip to keep it down, and then that'll be great. Yeah, we'll give that a whirl.
Enjoy, and let me know how you get on.
I will. Thank you.
Lovely. So it's great to see it all coming on, and I'm really looking forward to trying the vegetables. Can we just see your little?
Yeah, of course. Come and have a look. Come and have a look.
Leave that there and here. So, show us what you've got. Look, it's not bodies.
No, it's not bodies. Get ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what we've got... Okay, so this is the radicchio de Treviso, which is different from the Red Bull style of radicchio. So, I've always wondered how they get that kind of twisty, kind of curly middle part of the Treviso. So, this is what we said, dug up about 10 days ago. I've cleaned them all. Just in the leaves in the middle. I'll just try and pull one up. So I'd like to get a bigger heart on them next year, but you can see they're just starting now to kind of grow up in the middle.
Oh, I see. And that water
and
that bit of extra heat from the
exactly
cover, presumably, is pushing them into that very
bit of growth.
Growth.
Yeah.
So that is what you would call blanched.
Yes.
You've excluded the
light.
So you've got the very white shoots. They'll be very tender.
Yes.
And they'll be less bitter.
Yes, exactly.
And can I taste one?
You but I want you can. Yeah,
just
of course.
Like one little bit and just see how it tastes. Oh, it's lovely.
It's good.
My microbiome is singing.
It's good.
That bitter taste, they always say it's very good.
Oh yes, for your gut, totally.
Yeah.
But I think, nobody tells you. I've never read about this in any gardening books. I've never seen it anywhere. I discovered it on YouTube. which we like YouTube.
Yes, YouTube.
So yeah, next year I'm hoping that it's going to be really successful. Just sowing maybe that little bit earlier, a bit more spacing, and then that bigger root that we can then clean down and use, like I say, as a sofrito in the risotto. But this is the star of the show in northern Italy, I think.
Wow, lovely. Well, thank you very much. I'll be back again soon. You'll be
Oh.
sorry to hear.
Better come back for some spring or some
Yeah.
summer gardening fun.